So we're letting the passengers on. Once they're on and the doors are shut, we are ready to do the longest section of this entire run, which is Exeter St David's to Reading, which is just shy of 137.5 miles. This is going to take a while, and I'm not liking the fact that our ETA says it's going to take us about 12 and a half hours. So yeah, that well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Anyway, doors are shut. Away we go. And as we are getting underway, we'll do our radio test.
Welcome to the remote radio test unit. Please leave your message after the tone.
This is the NRN radio test call.
This is the NRN radio test call.
Test call is fine. 45 mph as we leave the station. That's a welcome surprise. We're now in a 65 zone. So yes, this is the Southwestern Expressways. This is the route DLC that wouldn't work unless I used one of 4 locos, and given that I have 25 pages of locos and each page has 9 loco options, only being able to use one of 4 was, to put it mildly, extremely annoying. You may have also noticed it started getting a bit cloudy. The weather is I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not the clear weather that we had. So yes, with this problem I was having with this route DLC, I did actually end up contacting DTG about it to try and get it sorted out, and to put it mildly, they were no help whatsoever. In fact, I found the cause and found the solution online myself. No help from DTG whatsoever. We are now in a 100 zone. So when I first contacted DTG, for a start it took a week and a half for me to get any kind of reply. But when I did, they wanted me to go through a series of steps before they would even try, and find a solution to the issue with this route DLC. This is despite the fact that I told them I know what the cause is, I know how to fix it, but I don't know how to go about actually implementing it. I'll explain why I was saying that in a few. Anyway, they didn't want to know that. They dismissed what I told them was the cause, and they they were saying, oh yes, what I said had caused it. No, that wasn't the cause. That was perfectly normal. Yeah. Oh, there's another 220. First time I've seen an AI 220. So yes, among the steps that they wanted me to do before they would, look at fixing this issue, was to completely uninstall a game, along with obviously all third-party installations that I might have, and reinstall it completely fresh. Now, I don't think I'm being completely unreasonable when I say I have no desire to do that whatsoever, because it would have taken an age. And what's more, their definition of third-party you know, mods and what have you, was anything that was installed from a site other than Steam. Well, that was quite a bit of stuff, and I kind of shot myself in the foot a bit with this, because I thought I would do my Mr. Pedantic routine again. And I said, well, that also includes Just Trains stuff. And they said, yes, it does. And I said, well, this route is a Just Trains route, which it is. And this is where I fucked up. I said, I got it from Just Trains. So if I do the, you know, uninstall everything and then reinstall only stuff from Steam, I won't have the problem, no, because I won't have the route installed. And as soon as I said that, they really didn't want to know. It was basically, oh, it's Just Train's fault, they're the one to deal with it, we don't want to know. I mean, it's Dovetail Games' game, so surely, you know, even if it's just for PR purposes, they could have done something, you know, suggest something. But no. So because that turned out to be a really bad move on my part, I then sent them another email where I showed them that in fact it was a Steam game, and I showed them a screenshot of my Steam installation and the you know, the DLC list that you get within Steam, showing that this route had been downloaded via Steam. They didn't want to know. No, it's a Just Trains one. You got to do it through them. Now, as I say, my own investigations meant that I discovered what the fault was. And what it is if you look into the game installation, there is a folder in there called Assets. And within that folder, there are a load of subfolders which will either be the name of the developer, i.e. Just Trains, or it will be the name of the route that you know, the assets are for. Now, in the case of this, the assets are within a subfolder within the Just Trains folder. This is all within the assets folder, and this route particular, yeah, uses the assets from a folder that is called Great Western. And if you looked, or when I looked in that folder, there were 3 .ap files. Now, there is only supposed to be one. In each of those subfolders within the assets folder, there is only meant to be one .ap file. Well, mine had 3, and that was the cause of the problem. The game was looking for just the one AP file. It's finding 3 of them, doesn't know what to do, so it just goes haywire and crashes the desktop. So what I needed to do was merge those 3 .ap files, and that's what I didn't know, you know, how to do. I didn't know how to actually merge them. In fact, it turned out to be a lot easier than I expected. Those .aep files are in fact nothing more than zip files, but the file name extension has just been changed from zip to .ap. So if you rename the file extension to .zip, then your zip program, whichever one you use, I use WinRAR, will then be able to read them. So what you need to do is extract everything from those 3 .ap files. You start with the oldest one of the 3, and you extract that to a temporary folder. You then extract the middle sort of like of the 3, so you know the next recent one, and that extract that to the same temporary folder, and any files that need overwriting, let it overwrite them. Tiverton Parkway is the first station we'll be going through, coming up in a mile. So then you take the most recent of the 3, extract that, again same thing, extract it to that same temporary folder, and if it needs to overwrite any, let it do it. So that way the duplicate files, you've got the most recent version of whatever that particular file is. So then you zip up all of those files that have been extracted, that that are in that temporary file. You zip them up. You do not compress them, because it can't use compressed files. So here we are at Tiverton, and straight through there. And then, having zipped it, you change the file name extension back from .zip to .ap. It also doesn't matter what you name that file. You can name it fuck off you cunt for all you like, I named it merged because it was 3 of them merged together. And put it back into the folder, that Great Western folder there, and you can then delete the other 3 .ap files. So the only file, or the only .ap file that will be in there will be this new merged .ap. Do that. Now works, and I knew it would work. I knew that was what I needed to do to get it to work, but Dovetail Games didn't want to know. And having got it to work, I even messaged them back and said, look, this thing that I said to do in order to get it work, I can prove to you it does work, and I can talk you through how to do it if anybody else should get in touch with you with this offer. They still didn't want to know, and they still were insisting it only happens to Dovetail Games versions. It only happens to Just Trains versions of this route, even though I had proven to them that this was actually a Steam version. More so, I have since discovered that this issue does in fact only affect the Steam version. The Just Trains version, not a problem. So Dovetail Games by that stage were just being pig-headed and properly bloody minded. So bollocks to them. So we're now on a 1 in 127 downhill, and it looks like it's going to start getting steeper. Yep. Now 1 in 80. Now this is only the third time I've actually driven on this route because of all the issues that I had before. So I really don't know it very well. So I'm having to try and you know, keep an eye on everything. But I am rather pleasantly surprised that we've been able to do 100. And for a decent amount of time as well. So when I started this run, I did mention that if anyone had any topics that I could cover while I'm doing this while I'm doing this run, then send them my way, and I will gladly do so. Well, I have had a few. I will also clarify, yes, I would prefer it if they were somewhat on topic, you know, railway related or Train Simulator Classic related. But it's not vital, you know. If you want me to start discussing something else, yep, I will do that. So the first one is one that really I should have already covered. The stats of the 220. Well, it was built by Bombardier. And they were built between 2000 and 2001. I can't remember exactly how many were built, but it wasn't a huge number. I think it was less than 30 of them. Now, as far as their stats, they really go by unit. And when I say a unit, I mean like all 4 cars, because yeah, the 220s were all 4 car units. So the weight was around 186 tons, which sounds incredibly heavy for any sort of train, let alone a multiple unit. But yeah, that's 4 cars we are adding up there. It's not just you know, this one, you know, the one the one loco. So when you take that into account, yeah, it's pretty much a standard thing when it comes to multiple units. They're somewhat light. In terms of power output, well, each car is powered. They do all have their motor per car, and each motor generates 750 horsepower. So you're looking at yeah, 3,000 horsepower per unit. Again, not too shabby at all. Is it my imagination, or do we have some very loud cows around here? I'm sure I can hear cows mooing. Now the 220 was introduced to replace several trains actually. The most notable being the Intercity 125. As much as I would hate to see the 125 being replaced, it was inevitable, and considering this was, you know, a high-speed passenger train, it was absolutely inevitable that this was going to be replacing Intercity 125s as we are approaching Taunton. So if I'd carried on going to Taunton on the South Devon main line, we would have got there a hell of a lot quicker than here, going to that station via the Southwestern Expressways. But nevertheless, Taunton is coming up. So yes, the 220 was replacing the Intercity 125. It was also replacing passenger services that were being towed by Class 47 locomotives. And perhaps most surprising of all, it was replacing services that were being provided by Class 158s. Now, I have been very critical of Class 158. Here we are going through Taunton. There's a lot of grass on the rails, but that's kind of, I think it's supposed to be showing that the rails don't get used very often, which I find very difficult to believe. So yeah, replacing Class 158s was, yeah, very surprising. Now, as far as, yeah, the 158 replacement, this thing was absolutely fine. The Class 220, each unit can transport 200 passengers. 176 in standard class and 24 in first class. So it's certainly a lot more than a Class 158. Remember, a 158 is only a two-car train. But when it comes to replacing the passenger services that were pulled by Class 47s, and even more so when it comes to replacing the Intercity 125, it's nowhere near good enough. I mean, the Intercity 125s, they were pulling 9 Mark III coaches. 9. This thing only has 4. 4 cars per unit. So it doesn't have anything like the seating capacity of an Intercity 125. And that's where, yeah, the issues with like the overcrowded trains, because they were so small, really sort of like reared their head. And CrossCountry, who are the only rail, privatised rail company that uses the 220s, yeah, let's just say their popularity is not exactly stellar, because their trains are often so overcrowded. And one of the reasons why they're so overcrowded is because they're so bloody small. Now, as it is, the Class 220 is in the process of being replaced by the new Class 810. And I am pretty sure that's going to go quite well. It does seem a bit ridiculous to me. To me, the Class 220 is still brand new, cutting edge stuff, I mean, they were only introduced in 2000. They're hardly, prehistoric. But, yeah, they're on their way out. And the 810 is, coming to replace it. So we have a yellow, and it's a single yellow aspect. So I mean, granted, we've got quite a way to go before the next signal. Could this be the red signal that's causing our ETA to be ridiculously I've got to start braking a lot more than this. Oh, this one's green. Okay, well, let's get our speed back up. So I've no idea why that previous signal was yellow there. Trackside view. So that's the stats anyway for a Class 220 and a few other bits and pieces besides. So next question is regarding HS2. Yes, so HS2 been a bit of an unmitigated disaster. So how would I, if I was in charge of the rail network, how would I improve it? Well, I did actually briefly touch on this when I did my Chiltern line run, the London to Birmingham run on that one. Because I think HS2 is a complete waste of time and money. It's not that the railways don't need investment, of course they fucking do. But if you're going to invest the sort of money that's being spent on HS2, you do not need to be spending it all just on HS2. The rest of the network needs investment as well. So the first thing I would do is I would end privatisation overnight. Every rail company would then be in the hands of GBR. Get rid of privatisation. It was the worst thing to happen to the railways, well, since the first nationalisation of it. So that's the first thing I'd do. I'd have GBR in charge of everything as far as the train services. I'd keep Network Rail in charge of the track maintenance and that. So it's all nationalised. The second thing, I would not have started HS2, and this was the bulk of my argument in the Chiltern line run, because we've got the Chiltern line there. If you want a faster route to Birmingham, and by the sounds of it, that is all they're doing as far as HS2. All the other, additional stuff that was going to be done has all been cancelled, and and it's not just on hold; it's gone down the toilet. So instead of building a completely new line from scratch, improve the Chiltern line. Firstly, electrify it. Secondly, I don't think the rails themselves will actually need a great deal of improvement. So you electrify it, raise the maximum speed to 125. You can have like express services on there, so they don't have to stop at every stop, because obviously the Chiltern line, London to Birmingham, has far more stops on it than the West Coast Main Line does. And I think just doing those few steps, yeah, I'm sure it will cost a fair amount, but it won't cost anything like the amount that you know, building HS2 is costing. And there you go. You've got your high-speed link from London to Birmingham. As far as where they start, Marylebone is well within walking distance of Euston, and at the other end, Moore Street is literally about 100 yards away from New Street. They're on opposite sides of the Bullring shopping centre. So yeah, you'll be pretty much starting and finishing at the same place. So there is no inconvenience there. So yeah, that's the two things I would do straight off. Renationalise everything and get it done straight away, not drip by drip like they have been doing. And yeah, scrap HS2 and use the money to improve the Chiltern line. I mean, bearing in mind that when they said, you know, when they made the first announcements about HS2, and they made a real big deal of this, they were saying that, yeah, what it will do is cut the travel time from London to Birmingham by 20 minutes. 20 minutes, that's all. And it's costing billions. You can't tell me that doing some modernisation of the Chiltern line would not be enough for us to get from London to Birmingham 20 minutes faster than the current you know, time it takes on the West Coast Main Line. No way, can't fail. Right, the next question. Did I play any other train based games? Not really. I did have Microsoft Train Simulator, but I had a really hard time with it. Every time I tried to do anything in it, I would just derail. Every single time. And so I got the arseache with it, and yeah, I got rid of it. I mean, that was back at the time when you could take PC games to, I forget the name of the shops. It's certainly not that obnoxious sex place that runs now. There was another one before then. But yeah, back then you could take PC games in and flog them. And yeah, that's what I did with me MS Train Simulator. It did not endear itself to me. But other than that, no. I mean, trying to think of any others. I mean, I'm going to be stretching things to quite the limit. I mean, On the Amiga, I had the dreaded Midwinter 2, Flames of Freedom, and one of the many methods of transport that you could use in that was a train. So, I mean, is it a train game? No, but you could drive a train in it. So, yeah, that's one. And on the Commodore 64, I mean, I did have Suicide Express. I mean, now we really are clutching at straws. But yeah, that was it. I mean, I've heard of Southern Belle, obviously, and that was mentioned in the question, Southern Belle. I think a lot of people actually had Southern Belle. I was one of the few that didn't. And there was also a another steam train simulator, Evening Star. Now, I had never heard of that until fairly recently. In fact, earlier this year. Yeah, it was actually Gansteeth who mentioned it in the very first Train Simulator live stream I did. So I didn't even know that, yeah, such a game existed. You know, chance, you know, a Commodore 64 simulator of my my favourite steam train of all time, the Evening Star. And if I'd known about it back then, I may well have ended up buying it. But yeah, I'd never heard of it, so. But yeah, I think that is about it as far as yeah, other train games. Not a great deal. You may well have noticed by now that yeah, the Southwestern Expressways are going through a lot of empty and open countryside. And that is pretty much, yeah, the whole thing. Now, what have we got here? That was a single yellow aspect. So what have we got as far as this signal that's coming up? I've got to assume that it's red, because that was a single yellow aspect we passed. And we are approaching Castle Carey Station. It does look like that's a red signal. Now the problem is, if this doesn't let me through and I try to run through the red signal, it's almost certainly going to derail me as we approach points that are set against me. And I've been denied. This does not bode well. Ah, they just turned yellow. So that train that had stopped has now started moving because I got close enough for it to actually become active. In fact, yeah, it's gone to green straight away. That is very welcome. So we have a speed limit reduction down to 90 coming up, but obviously we are now accelerating towards that speed, not braking from 100. Yeah, here's the marker for it. So there we go, we are now in the 90 zone. Now I have never seen this station, I've never come this way on this route before, but as I say, this is only the third time I have driven on this route, so it is Castle Carey station. Trying to see if I can spot Castle Carey itself. No, I can't. And we're now in another 100 zone. Well, that livened things up a bit, didn't it? So, right, next question was, right, modern electric trains are boring. Bring back the good old slam doors. It's not really a question, more of a statement, but it is a statement that I agree with 100%. Let's face it, we all know that slam doors are history. The only trains that still use slam doors are the few HSTs that are still running, except of course they very recently, as in like just a couple of days ago, did their very last run. And the only other one that still uses slam door is the Night Riviera, the sleeper that goes from Paddington to Penzance. So we're on a 1 in 98 uphill, and Bruton station is coming up. Now, speaking of the Night Riviera, after I found out about that, and given how much I really did like doing the Caledonian sleeper run, even though all I did was Euston to Birmingham International, we're just about to start speeding now. I'm amazed that I didn't get a speeding error come up. But yeah, given how much I really enjoyed that, here we are heading through Bruton. Quite a small station, that one. I didn't pay attention to the fact that 90. So I think that's only my first speeding error. I mean, we're not yet halfway through this, but I did about 60 miles before I got my first error, so you know, but it might have even been more than that. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, yeah, right, the Night Riviera. So yeah, because I really enjoyed doing the Caledonian sleeper run, what bit of it I did, I really did fancy doing the Night Riviera run. I've got all the routes, I've got the right loco, it uses a class 57, I've got the right carriages, uses Mark III sleeper carriages. The only thing I don't have is the right livery. So I had a look for it online, and lo and behold, I found it. And it was everything. It does the train, the sleeper carriages, and all the different sleeper carriage variations. I thought, oh, perfect. Couldn't have been better. So I downloaded it. And having downloaded it, I got to see the installation instructions. all 16 steps of them. 16! All I'm trying to do is install the bloody livery. And by the time I got to about the 8th step, I'd lost the will to live. It was all, you know, go to folder blah blah fucking blah, extract from the AP file blah blah blah, and of course none of these file names were very clearly obvious what they were. No, it was all just like a load of seemingly random characters and numbers. And then, yeah, copy that file from folder blah 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 blah, and paste it into folder blah 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 blah. And you got to do that with about 5 or 6 different files. And I was, oh, bollocks to this. And the instructions were as clear as mud. It didn't say what to do with the rest of the files that you'd extracted from this AP file, because for the game to use any of these files, it's got to find them within the AP file. But I've now extracted them from it. So does that mean I then leave them in the folder that they were in? Or do I delete them? Or do I put them back into another AP file? Or, you know, what do I do? And the installation instructions don't tell you a damn thing. So I thought, bollocks to it. But I was really annoyed about that, because I thought, yeah, a chance to do a Night Riviera run, that would be fantastic. But no. Totally indecipherable installation instructions, and the sheer number of steps was ludicrous. So yeah, I gave up. So anyway, yeah, getting back to the point, yeah, modern electric trains are boring. I did find it a bit strange that he particularly picked out electric trains as to be boring, which actually reminds me of something else that I was asked about with regarding the 220. And that was, you know, is it diesel or is it diesel electric? And an additional point was made there, which was, were there ever any locos or multiple units that were just diesel? Well, yes, there were. The very first diesel multiple units, and where this game's concerned, all of the diesel multiple units that have the manual gear change, so the 101, the 105, the 111, the 117 and the 121, they are all just diesel. They're not diesel electric. As far as locomotives, again, that are in the game, yeah, there are a fair few actually. The Class 20, the Class 14, the Class 24, 25, 27, and I think the very early Class 31s, they were all purely diesel. They weren't diesel electric. I mean, they did have electrical systems in them, you know, for things like lighting and that. But yeah, the actual definition of a diesel train as opposed to a diesel electric train, with a diesel train, the diesel engine is providing traction for the locomotive itself. So the power that's being provided to the wheels that actually mean that the loco's moving is coming from the diesel engine. Whereas with a diesel electric locomotive or multiple unit, yeah, the diesel engine is actually powering an electric generator, and that electric generator is what is providing tractive power to the axles, the wheels, and resulting in the train moving. That's the definition of a diesel electric. And even though they're all generally referred to as diesel trains, or diesel locos I should say, the vast majority of them are actually diesel electrics. And then just to really confuse things, there was also the diesel hydraulics, which seem to be making a bit of a comeback, because the Class 180 is a diesel hydraulic. And it's not the only one. I think there are other diesel hydraulics out there, but I can't remember what ones they were. But the diesel hydraulics, yeah, the hydraulic part was in reference to the gearbox. Right, so that leaves me with one last question that I was asked, and this one was the most predictable of them all. What is your top 5 and bottom 5 trains? Now, it's worded very sort of broadly. I mean, are we talking top 5 and bottom 5 trains in real life, or top 5 and bottom 5 trains that appear in this game? And if we are talking about trains that appear in this game, are we talking what is it that makes them top 5 or bottom 5? Is it how well they drive, or just do I like them? I mean, like, say for example, I do really like the Class 40, but plenty of people will tell you the Class 40 was not a great loco. So yeah, it is a very generalised question. So I am going to answer it in the assumption that you are referring to top 5 and bottom 5 trains in this game with regards to how good they are to drive. So after this short 90 mph zone, we are entering a 110 zone, the fastest we'll have done on this entire trip so far. Now, was that just the alert for the speed change, or was that to do with the approaching signal? No, as is green, we're fine. Here we are entering a 110 zone. There we go. Let's see what our acceleration is like once we enter 3 figures then. We are going uphill at a 1 in 500. Well, the acceleration once we're into 3 figures is not fantastic, but it is certainly faster than the acceleration rate in an Intercity 125. As it is not by any stretch of the imagination though saying that the Intercity 125 is no good. There's no way I would ever say that. So there we are, we're at 110, but I'm going to have to start reducing because I don't want to be speeding, but we were about to. But there we go, we made it to 110 quite easily actually. And we were still accelerating even in just notch 1. Now granted our acceleration rate wasn't great, but yeah, we were still accelerating. But now we are decelerating in notch 1, so let's get ourselves back up to 110. Right, well I'm well aware that people are much more interested in hearing my, like, you know, 5 or 10 worst than they are best. It's also slightly easier for me to answer. So the 5 worst, the 303, although that sound enhancement that I got, the freeware one, has really helped. It's made it a lot better, because not only has it improved the audio, it's also improved the physics. They actually work now. So yeah, the 303 before you install that patch. But yeah, after it's absolutely fine. Not perfect, but it's a million times better. Another one, without doubt, Dovetail Games Class 91. It's an absolute abomination. Horrendous. Thankfully, I have the Armstrong Powerhouse Class 91 now, and it's just on a completely different level. It is so much better. You can actually drive it. So yeah, Dovetail Games 91 is absolutely dire. Yeah, don't waste your time with it. That's the 2 easy ones. The next one, I'd have to be very specific about this. It's the Class 319, but it's the one that comes as a Loco DLC. The version of the 319 that comes with the bedpan route, that one's fine. But the one that comes with the as a Loco DLC is awful, and it's for pretty much the same reason as the issues with the 303. It's silent for so much of the time. There's no like sense of speed from, like, you know, the air rushing past you. There's no engine sound whatsoever once you have got the throttle on 0, and it just ruins it. So yeah, that's the third one of those. I think we can coast down to 90. Yeah, no problem. The next of the worst is the Dovetail Games Class 378 for exactly the same reasons. I will say at the moment it applies to the version that comes with the South London Network route DLC, but I've not tried the versions that come with the North London Network. And I've done a video using the version that you know, the low-code DLC, and I seem to recall that one was absolutely fine. But yeah, the version that comes with the South London Network, again, as soon as you put the throttle on naught, it's total silence again. And again, it absolutely ruins it, so... So, that's 4 of them. I can't really think of a 5th. I'll have to get back to you with regards to, yeah, the 5th. We're about to enter another 110 zone. Here we are. There is certainly no shortage of countryside views in this route, but they are all rather flat. We do spend the vast, and I do mean vast, majority of the time pretty much stuck in the middle of nowhere. We still have 45 miles to Reading, but we are well and truly past halfway now. ETA is still saying we have 11.5 hours to go, which yeah, clearly we don't. I seem to recall this actually happened in the live stream when I did the London Paddington to Cardiff route. It kept saying I had, you know, like 12 hours, but once I got, admittedly it was quite close to Bristol, it sorted itself out. So I'm hoping that the same is going to happen here. Those were goods markers, so yeah, that won't be a spad. We also seem to have really left all of the hefty gradients behind. This area has been a lot more flat compared to the South Devon and Cornish main lines. So speed decreased down to 100 as we approach Pusey. So it's still green. I have a feeling that yeah, it's going to be somewhere around a station where we will encounter the cause of this ETA bollocks. So here is Pusey Station. Well, it looks like the Pusey town. This is probably more like a village. Something else I just remembered. I can't remember who it was. But, I think it's one. I think it was someone who requests has done a couple of requests lately. I think it might have been old train, plane and bus master guy. As we are approaching, that's a 59. Yeah, after the snowplow video, he was asking about if that line was electrified. It is electrified, but nowhere near the entire length of it. I can't remember which station it is that it stops about a mile before a certain station. If it included the branch that went down to Heathrow, the electrification goes all that way there, presumably for the Heathrow Express. But there is a workshop, steam workshop route for it, which has the entire route electrified. And I've also said in a few videos that I do find it rather annoying that the Great Western Main Line, as we now enter a 90 zone, but we've got an 80 zone coming up in a mile. But yes, the Great Western Main Line only goes as far as Didcot. No, it doesn't. I have found that there is a route DLC from Just Trains which has the entire West Coast or Great Western Main Line. So it goes all the way from Paddington to Bristol Parkway, not Bristol Temple Meads, and it includes the stop at Swindon. Yeah, that's on my routes to buy list. So slowing down again as we approach this 70 mph section. It must be because of all these curves and that which are on downhill gradients. We're on a 1 in 154. It's not mega steep, but it's steep enough for a loco or a train. I'm forever saying train when I mean loco and loco when I mean train, but hopefully you know what I mean. So here is the 70 zone. It looks like once we come off this fairly sharp curve, we are back into a 100 zone. So here we are entering the 100 zone, and now we can throttle up. And Bedwin is the next station, and this looks very much like a yellow aspect. So, but look at the ETA, it's sorted itself out. Now that yellow aspect means we're okay. Well, we can get to the station, but what is the signal after it like? The fact that our ETA is now good suggests to me it's actually going to be alright, but I don't really want to take the chance. I do not want a SPAD, and I do not want to find us approaching a point that is set against us and will cause a derail. That's a green aspect. As we pass it's either a 166 or a 165. Pretty sure that would have been a 166. So here is Bedwin Station. And it was about as memorable as a specific pavement slab. Yeah. But there is no denying it, I am well pleased to have finally got this route working properly. Especially as, yeah, it opened up the, you know, so many other sort of routes that could be taken. So we could, you know, now do London to, well, any number of locations in the southwest and South Wales, of course. I've not exactly been overwhelmed by requests to do so, but nevertheless the options are, you know, is there. So we are entering the 90 zone now. We have an 80 zone coming up in a mile, so we will continue coasting. But yeah, I had no idea what to expect as far as this route was concerned, so the fact that so much of it was you know, either 100 or 110 mph was yeah, very okay. So we're fine for the 80 zone, which is yeah, right about here. We're in the 80 zone now. And we will continue coasting as we go down to 75. We have the next station coming up, which is Hungerford. So we won't be able to give Hungerford any max thrash as we have a 166 passing by. So yeah, Hungerford Station. Again, not much there. Another one of those stations. There is just no station buildings. Anyway, we're back in the 90 zone. Here we go. One thing I haven't checked yet, yeah, passenger view. This is actually it. This is the only passenger view we get. Still, at least we got one. And a trackside view. I do really like the trackside views. What I really need to do is get one when we are doing 125 mph. Well, oh bollocks, another speeding. I was doing really well there. I'd only had the one up until that point. We have a 110 zone coming up. I reckon we'll be able to start accelerating to 110 pretty much as soon as we enter Kintbury Station. We have another 166. They're all very quiet as they go past. I know the soundproofing within a 220 cab is immense. So we're in a 110 zone. Let's yeah, I didn't quite get the full thrash at Kintbury. So ETA currently has us arriving at Reading at just after 11 AM. We're certainly getting through this at a fair old rate. Reading is now 21 miles away. Considering it was over 140 when we started, yeah, we've really got through this at a really good old rate. Yeah, so that thing that I thought sounded like a very loud cow earlier on in the run, I think it's the mechanism that's operating the level crossings. It is extremely loud and I can hear it in the cab of a 220 above the engine sound and through all of the soundproofing that this cab has. I will also, actually, yeah, just a reminder, even though I am doing this, it does not mean that, you know, you can't send any more requests while I'm doing it. Yeah, if you have any other runs that you want to request, then, you know, send them, you know. Newbury Racecourse is fast approaching. I don't know what station this is that we just came through, unless this is Newbury itself, not the Newbury Racecourse. And yeah, Newbury Racecourse station right here. And there is the racecourse right there. Looks very industrialised on this side. Oh, I kind of missed the 110 zone. Actually, no, we were in there for a while, but yeah, we're now approaching a 100 zone. There you go, we're in it now, so I can't accelerate too much more. The stations are certainly cropping up with rather more regularity now. So Thatcham is the next station. Again, not one that I am familiar with. But yeah, if you like your fast trains, then yeah, you'll be glad to hear that we've got plenty of faster intercity routes now that we have left the Cornish main line, and got to check out our section there. But yeah, now that we've left the South Devon main line and the Cornish main line, we've got plenty of yeah, routes with three-figure that is what that sound is. It's the gates on the level crossings. It's just that loud. But yeah, until we reach the West Highland line, we don't have any. Actually, no, we've only got one more section where there will be no three-figure yeah, line speeds. So is it Midgum? Midgum? It looks like Midgum. Anyway, whatever it is, it's the next station, and it's about 2/3 of a mile away. So we're into a 95 zone. We're well below that though. Let's get a bit more speed up. So here comes Midgum station. It is a bit of a midget one as well. Look at that. Look again, nothing on the station. So Aldermaston is the next one. So these stations really are coming thick and fast now. Oh, we're now in a 100 zone. Well, I gave 4 of my, you know, 5 worst. I can't really think of a 5th one. You know, I can't think of one that stands out as being so terrible that it would be included on such a list. Now, my 5 best. I mean, I'm supposed to leave the number 1 till last, but to be honest, the number 1's the only one that I can think of straight away. Number 1 has to be the APT. No doubt about it. I cannot recommend highly enough that if you are a fan of this game and you don't have the APT, get it. It is that good. I mean, it certainly helps if you have the West Coast Main Line over Shap route, because that's where it has its career scenarios. And unless you download very specific scenarios for the APT or create your own, that's the only way you're going to be able to use the CAPT system and be able to, yeah, go at 155 mph. But yeah, driving that thing at 155 is just fantastic. So that is definitely my number 1 without hesitation. I can't really sort of like think off the top of the head. Maybe when we do the next part, you know, when we leave Reading, I'll have come up with the other 4. But yeah, the APT is my number 1. So, I mean, there is a Steam sale on at the moment, so yeah, if you have this game and you enjoy playing it and you don't have the APT, Steam sale is on. Buy it now. Trust me on that. So, I don't know if it's Thiel or Teal. I think it is Thiel. I'm not even sure if it's West Thiel or if it is just Thiel, but whatever it is, anyway, it's the next station and it's coming up in less than 1/4 mile. So here it is. Looks like it said West Thiel. And we have a, I think that one might have been a 165. Which has actually made me think, yeah, I think I know what I'll put at number 5 for my yeah, worst trains. It's not the 165, it's the 365, because the brakes on it are so abysmal. Really are terrible. And it looks like a giant suppository. So yeah, 2 reasons why I would choose the 365. So there you go. That's number 5 on the list of worst trains. Anyway, we have a 60 mph section coming up. So we've really got to start losing some speed. Yeah, that was the alert for it. So there we go, we're fine now for this section. And Reading West is the next station. And after that, it's our next stop, as we will be pretty much at Reading Station as we go through Reading West. We'll be barely a mile away from it. And there it is on the route display now. So I got our speed down for the 50 mph zone when it's still half a mile away. And okay, we won't be doing it until we leave Reading Station, but you can see right there the first 125 mph section of the run as we pass a Powerhaul 66 with nothing but empty flatbed trucks on it. I would not fancy driving that, and Jesus Christ, he's got plenty of them. Yeah, I definitely would not want to be driving that thing. Admittedly, along the Southwestern Expressways, not a problem, but I would imagine a Class 66 with that many empty flatbed bolsters, that's on its way to Plymouth. Well, stuff doing that trip, that's all I can say. So here we are, our next stop. Let everyone off. So yep, here we are at Reading. That's the longest stretch completed.